Hey guys, Jeffries here, and welcome back to Cities in Motion 2. Now, I want you to meet Sophie. Sophie is just a normal citizen in our city. However, we are going to track her entire journey from the second she gets onto this tram to the second she arrives back at her house, which is her final destination. So you can see she's taken the tram one stop, and she's now walking to the monorail station, which is just down the road. Now, the reason I decided to do this episode like this is because I wanted to showcase just how many different forms of transport there are in our city and how people get from point A to point B and what different variations there are of how to do that. So you can see she took the tram one stop, that's all it was. However, she could have easily just walked that distance, but the tram was the quickest way to do it, therefore she took the tram. Now she's on the monorail, which, especially for the orange line here, is the quickest way to the city centre and ultimately the hub, which I believe is where she's going. I'm sure a few of you would have worked this out by now. This is actually me recording audio after I've recorded the video, so what I did was I sat and recorded this for oh so long, waiting for her to actually reach her destination, because there's something that comes up in a little bit which I find a little bit weird, but I'll explain that to you in a little bit more detail when it actually happens. So she's still on board the monorail train, and she's getting closer and closer to the hub, and just when I think she's going to get to the hub, she gets off the train here. And then I thought, you know, okay, fair enough, there's a metro station just down the way, maybe that's where she's going. And I believe that is what she's doing now. She's waiting for an, I want to say Emerald, but I think it's a Jade Line train. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she's on board the train now. I think it's a Jade Line. I think Jade Line is the second line we built. So yeah, must be a Jade Line train. But she's on track to get to the hub via this metro train anyway. And then, suddenly, she gets off the train, surfaces, walks down the street, and waits for the bus. And at this point I'm starting to scratch my head, because obviously I know where her destination is. She's heading towards an area in City West. And she ends up being the only passenger on board this bus. And I'm trying to work out what possible route she's trying to take to get to her home. And you know, I'm really struggling to think of what route she was taking here, because I never think of the bus as being the fastest way to get anywhere. I certainly would not get off the metro to get onto the bus. That's just something I would do. I would not do it like that. I think she's off the bus now. I probably should have zoomed in a little bit at this point so you could see what was going on. Yes, she's walking down the street now. So she gets to here. And I believe this is the Violet line. And sure enough, she gets on board... No, it's the Indigo line, sorry. The Indigo line. She gets on board a trolley, which is heading towards the hub. So now, after all that, she got off a metro train that was heading towards the hub, and instead decided to get on a bus and a trolley to the hub. And now, she's walking around the corner here. And I believe she starts walking towards the metro again. And yeah, she's walking towards the metro. And now I'm really scratching my head, because she's just skipped the opportunity to take a metro train to the hub. She's now gone down towards the tram. So far we have covered tram, monorail, bus. Sorry, let me start again. Tram, monorail, metro, bus, trolley, tram, because she's about to hop onto, I believe it's a Carmine line train. Any second now, one's going to arrive. Any second now. Just gonna wait for that tram to turn off, and then one to come straight down. One has stopped and she's got on board. So she is on board a tram, and it is a... I'm just trying to see what number it has on it, and I can't for the life of me see. I think that's a number 2, which is the Carmine line. In fact, I can tell from the style of train. She's on the Carmine line. And she's finally heading south, which I would say was the best way to go. And then suddenly, she gets off the tram. Bear in mind, it was a Carmine line tram. She gets off of that and gets on board a Maroon line tram. And this is something I found fascinating when I watched this, was, you know, the Maroon line at this point stops at all the same stops that the Alizarin line and the Carmine line stops at. And yet, she is actively disembarked from the Carmine line specifically to wait for a Maroon line tram. And, you know, there's something about the game mechanics which seems to think that that's a quicker route. I can't for the life of me think why that's a feasible option. Because all she does is go across the river on the Maroon line, and that's that. She could have got off the Carmine tram at that stop. Instead, she decided to get on the Maroon line to do so. I can't get my head around it personally, but, you know, it's not really my job to do that. The game calculated that that was the quickest route, therefore that was the quickest route, and that's the route she took. What she's now doing is walking towards the water bus, I believe. I'm going to say that a lot because I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what route she took. It's sort of on the top of my mind. I believe she does at this point get on the water bus. Yes, she's now waiting for the water bus, which just happened to be arriving at that second, and I think she gets on board. Yes, she gets on board. Right, so this water bus is heading west, so it's heading towards where she wants to be. Okay, travels under that bridge, through this bridge. I might have to fix that, now we've got boats actively using the river. Heads towards this stop over here. Just got to wait for that boat to come in and out. I like the water bus system. I like it a lot. I think it works very, very nicely. There's something I do a few episodes from now that makes the water bus an even more feasible option in the city. But even now, it's a very, very popular form of transport to get from east to west. And thankfully, she stays on board the boat at this stop and doesn't hop off. Because if she hopped off, I think I would have had a fit. Very, very frustrating. Right, she's now travelling over towards the last stop on the South Island. You can see the boat travelling on. There's another boat heading from City West, and that was the direction I thought she'd be heading in. Old Sophie. But no, she disembarks the water bus, still on the South Island, nowhere near her final destination. I can't even pinpoint where I think her final destination is, because A, you won't be able to see it, and B, I can't remember exactly where. I know it's somewhere City West, inside the Carmine loop. I think it's inside the Carmine loop. Yeah, it's inside where the Carmine line does its crescent moon shape around the avenue there. Right, she is now waiting for a metro train. Bear in mind that she's already been on a metro train and has been through the hub. She's only now getting on board a Shamrock Line train. And she takes this train. Let me think. One stop? I think it's 2 stops from where she was. Find out any second now. Yep, 2 stops. Funnily enough, to a connection with the trolley. So now I'm thinking, I know what she's doing. She's going to take the trolley across to City West and then find a way from there. But no. She gets off the Shamrock Line and starts waiting for a South Loop Line train. And at this point, I am really scratching my head. I'm thinking, where the hell is this woman going? What is she doing? That, you know, she can't get on a trolley here and travel across. Something really, really unusual happening here. There's something not quite right about the game's calculations. Sure enough, she's on the South Loop now. Travelling underneath the river. Into where the baseball stadium is. You can see here. She gets off at the baseball stadium and goes and waits for the Shamrock line again. And I really don't know what to say at this point, because she's already been on the Shamrock line. Okay, they want to take the quickest route. That's perfectly understandable. But the fact that she was at the hub, she could have got on the Shamrock line then and stayed on it. She got off the trolley she was on. She got on a tram. She then got on another tram. She got on a water bus. Then she got on 2 metro trains to get to somewhere where she could have got with just one single metro train. But she's now on the Shamrock line, and she's scooting along. She doesn't get off at that stop, which, to be honest, it wouldn't have surprised me if she did. She doesn't get off at... Oh, no, she does get off at this stop. So sorry, she does get off at this stop. And she surfaces. And she heads south. She crosses the road here. She then really confuses me by crossing the road here, crossing the road here, and then starts walking down towards what I believe is the maroon line. I believe this is the maroon line again. So she's already been on the maroon line, and now she's getting on it again. Would you believe it? I certainly wouldn't. She heads south on the maroon line, into the depot, and out again. Now, if she'd got off at this next stop, I think I would have thrown something through the window. Thankfully, she didn't. No one got off, no one got on. So, I mean, okay, that's good, I suppose. Now she's heading north on the maroon line. And I'm still trying to work out. I've got sort of pieces of paper in front of me and pens, and I'm trying to write down what possible route she's thinking of taking to get to where she wants to go. Bear in mind, I chose Sophie because of her starting location and where she wanted to travel to. It's pretty much straight across the map. And yet, she's taking this really, really long way round of getting there. And I pretty much planned her route out for her before this episode started. I thought this could be quite short. She's just going to hop on the tram one stop, hop on the monorail to the hub, hop on the metro train as far around as she needed to go, and then that'll be that. But now, she's actually got off the maroon line, and I believe she's waiting for a Carmine line tram. Which, here is one, and she hops on board it. So now she's heading back north on the Carmine line. Bearing in mind she was heading south on the Carmine line and got off the tram. She disembarked. Her end position, where she's travelling to, hasn't changed once since this episode started. And yet, look at the route she's taking. She's now got off the Carmine line. I can't think for the life of me why she's now waiting for a maroon line tram again. But that is exactly what she's doing. I think she went 1 or 2 stops on the Carmine line, and now she's waiting for a maroon line tram again. This is just unbelievable, this episode. This whole journey that this woman is taking is just extraordinarily elongated for what it could be. You see now, she finally gets on board. She was actually a bit miffed because the driver ignored her. And the fact that the driver's probably seen her about 4 or 5 times today already suggests that, you know, that's an acceptable behaviour for the driver to be doing. It's kind of like, what are you doing? Get on an actual tram that takes you to where you want to go. Because she's just got off the sodding maroon line again. Except this time she's actually walking round. I think she crosses the road here to the right. Nope, she crosses left. And now she's getting on the bloody metro again. This is the Shamrock line again, I believe, which is going to take her back north. Yeah, this is the Shamrock line, because it crosses underneath and then curves upwards. I think that's right. I might be wrong. Oh, I know what route this is. This is a Shamrock line train, yes. So she's back on the Shamrock line, and she's starting to do the south loop again. Right? Bear that in mind. She's doing the south loop again. She then gets off the train after just one stop. She then proceeds to walk down the street here. She turns right at the next junction, I believe, if I remember rightly. I think this avenue, she turns right. Alright. Nope, she crosses straight over. Now she turns right. Then she turns right again. There we go. Crosses over again. I still don't understand why pedestrians do that, but they do. Now she's going underground, which means only one thing. She's heading towards the trolley. She's been past the trolley twice in this journey, and she hasn't thought to get on board. She could have got on it at the hub, this trolley, and it would have taken her pretty much straight to where she wanted to go. Instead, she's waited until now to get on board it. This is just quite simply unbelievable. This woman. Except, she's not going south, or in this case west, on the trolley. She's actually heading north. She's heading back towards the hub. This woman is on a completely different planet to the rest of us. What is this woman doing? And again, she's miffed because the drivers ignored her. Unreal. Truly unreal. But in a second, the trolley will arrive. Shows the gap between our trolleys, actually. It's all to do with the traffic. It's nothing to do with the timetabling being wrong. But there you go, she's on board the trolley. She's now going to go past the water bus route that she was on about 10 minutes ago. She's going to head back into the hub. Again, still, her final destination has not changed once. Not once. And I want to see the mechanics of this game. I'd like to get into the code and see where this is a quicker route than the route that I would have taken. And seriously, the route I'd have taken is the alizarin line to the monorail, the orange line to the hub, and the carmine line round to her house. That is 3 lines. Instead, she has been on the alizarin line, she's been on the orange line, she's been on the cobalt A line, I think it was, the indigo line, the shamrock line. In fact, she was on the jade line as well, wasn't she? Yeah, she's been on the jade line, shamrock line, the south loop line, the water bus line 1, and somewhere else, but I can't remember what off the top of my head. Right, she's now heading dangerously close to the metro again, and instead she starts waiting for the maroon line. And again, at this point I'm thinking, just get on the carmine line. It'll be the next train that arrives at the hub. I'm sure of it, it'll be the next train. And again, she's miffed because the maroon line driver that she's already spoken to 17 times today has ignored her and left her at the stop. Thankfully though, it is the maroon line. There's a train running every half an hour, I think it is. So it's not that long before the next one arrives. But even then, in the meantime, I'm still thinking about the route she could have taken. Even if she jumped in and amongst trams and metros and monorails and messed around a little bit. Either she's a tourist who just wants to go on as many lines as possible, and you know that is possible, or she just wants to do something for fun. Again, perfectly understandable. I wouldn't put that past her, and it's not my place to judge. Or she's lost and she's desperately trying to find her way home. Now that one rings true more than the others, I think. Just watching where she's been and what she's been doing. However, the tourist one also springs to mind. And I know for a fact that when I'm in London, sometimes I could just take, because I always get the train from King's Cross when I come home, And I know wherever I am I can take like a Circle line or a Metropolitan line or Hammersmith and City line train to King's Cross and take the train from there. But I always want to try and find a slightly more interesting route, 'cause I never like to do the same route twice if I can help it. So I do end up going on all different lines to get to the same place. So I can relate to that, because like I said, I've done it myself. What I can't relate to is sometimes you just want to take the quickest route. You want to get from A to B as quick as possible. And I think that's one of the easy one. This is one of those times, and she hasn't done it. She's gone this really, really long way round, and it's just weird. However, the Carmine line does eventually take her to where she wants to go. After all that time, she finally gets to where she wants to be. And like I said, this audio is post-recorded, so I'm actually watching this back on Media Player, and it's been a little bit glitchy and laggy, so to be honest, the video is probably finished in real life and I'm still just chatting to a black screen. If that is the case, then I am sorry. I will try and sync this up as best I can, but I am going to start wrapping this episode up now, because as soon as she gets off the tram, the episode will end. And I think it's her husband or someone is waiting there for her as well at the end, so that's kind of nice. But anyway, no dedication this episode, guys. I'm just going to wrap things up and end it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.